Hi, it's really wonderful for me, and after all, you must know this. First and foremost thing, I will go for national news, and I will come to here. And in that national news, what is that important news for nowadays is that culture mapping of 80 villages kicks off. Government to clear all Air India debt this fiscal. Suvendu uses TMC tools to strengthen BJP. SKM forms five-member committee for dialogue with government on pending demands. Indian economy fastest in world to come out of COVID pandemic impact. Amit Shah first emerged seat against Parambir Singh Sachin Wajay. Daily caseload reaches 200 mark. Center wants stricter containment in state. Rajasthan bats for coordination to resolve interstate disputes. Wien announces special intervention plan for Atta Paddy. No need to panic over Omicron, says infected doctor. Omicron threat. DC for strict enforcement of rules. Achilles offers rights and honor in widening appeal. By polls dry day in 4 wards. COVID-19 Maharashtra reports first case of Omicron variant. Cashew sector hopeful of good times. No respite for people near Malayapur Mulla Periyar. Celebration of Vellapalli feat begins today. Actor Jai Surya flip flops on road comment. Cyclone Javed weakens into deep depression. Televeterinary service soon in all districts. 8 documents ID proof for bipole. Duck killing triggers scare in Kottayam. And Penrai to open IDS FFK on December 9. No mask, no entry in bus. EICL directed to resume operations at Valley unit. Samasta rejects reports of difference or Wakaf. Screening of film on farmers steer today. Political rivalry also led to murder of Sandeep police. Fresh cases in Hassan. Government staff should serve common man CM. Rains cause huge damage in Arskere Champra and Parna. JDS leaders train guns on GTD at council poll campaign. Koni Forest to get plan to fight disasters. Bahrupi Theatre Festival postponed. Solar panels to be deployed in 10 reservoirs. 1,707 school staff unvaccinated in state. MLC selections. Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas has turned into Sabka Satyanas. Attempt to arrest anti-displacement Odisha activist in early hours declared. Special schools reopen on Wednesday. Karnataka to host global investors meet in Bengaluru in November 2022. AAP will soon become a clone of BJP. Chidambaram, a veteran journalist Vinod Dua passed away. MLC election JDS to announce stand in 2 days. Autocast to supply cast iron bricks to INS Vikrant. Delhi court grants bail to Peter Mukherjee in INX media money laundering case. Tripura State Rifles Jawan kills 2 colleagues, surrender to police. We'll go for this important news, and it's not important, but it is exciting, something like that. Sources said he committed the crime after his superiors turned down leave application and detailed him for refresher training. A Jawan of Tripura State Rifles on Saturday saw dead two of his colleagues at a ONGC gas drilling site in Cephalija district of Tripura. The incident occurred at the company's security post in Konaban, where a unit manned by 5th Battalion TSA has been deployed. Police said that around 9 a.m., rifleman Sukanta Das started indiscriminate firing in which Subedar Marka Singh Jamtia died on the spot, and Naib Subedar Kiran Jamatia succumbed to his injuries at the GBP hospital here. Police said no other personnel was hurt after the firing. Sukunta Das went to the Madhapur police station and surrendered along with his service weapon and ammunition. He was arrested under the murder charge. Sources said they committed the crime after his superiors turned down his leave application and detailed him for refresher training. Thus, spouse, a police constable, is currently posted at the Karkepur police station in Gomati district. Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Dev has condoled the death of the two security personnel, announced a compensation of 5 lakh rupees to the bereaved families. Researchers document 43,118 butterflies in Dakshina Kannada. Butterflies are excellent communities to monitor the ecological ecological health of a place, a team of researchers from Mangalore University, in collaboration with other two institutes, has identified and documented 118 butterflies belonging to 175 species in Dakshina Kannada. Assam's highest civilian award for Ratan Tata. Honor of his exceptional contribution towards furthering cancer care in state, the Assam government has named stylist and philanthropist Ratan Tata for Assam Baibhav, the state's highest civilian award, announcing the names of 19 personalities chosen for three categories of awards. Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma said Mr. Tata would be honored for his exceptional contribution towards furthering cancer care in the state. Mr. Ratan Tata has taken the lead in a cancer care project where we are constructing 16 hospitals under the Assam Cancer Care Foundation. The construction of 10 hospitals will be completed by this year and operationalized in April, he said. He shares a long relationship with Assam, and it was he who had advised us to think of such a project. The project is being implemented with the cooperation of the Tata Trust and Assam government. The people of Assam are honoring him with this award for his contributions. The Assam Saurav Award will be conferred on Professors Kamalendu Dev Kori and Deepak Chand Jain, Director of the National Health Mission Assam, Lakshman S. Champion boxer Lovelina Borogain, and artist Neil Pavan Barua. Assam Gaurav Awards. Mr. Sharma also announced the names of 13 Assam Gaurav awardees. They are Director of Health Services Murendranath. Okay, like this. Maharashtra, Gujarat confirmed one case each of Omicron. This week, 2 persons in Karnataka have been confirmed with coronavirus variant. The 2 more persons in India on Saturday tested positive for the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, taking its tally to 4. 72-year. This news is on December 4. Okay. 70-year-old in Gujarat and 33-year-old in Mumbai, both men were confirmed by the health authorities as affected by the variant. The elderly man had traveled to Jamnagar from Zimbabwe via Mumbai. Officials confirmed to the Hindu that he had mild symptoms, but his vaccination status couldn't be confirmed. It is unclear, however, if he is an Indian national or the NRI. A person is found Omicron positive in Jamnagar, who have isolated him and are monitoring him. A micro containment zone has been created where he is an Indian national or an where he is living. We will be tracing and testing all his contacts. Manoj Agarwal, Additional Chief Secretary Health, Gujarat said. In Maharashtra, the 33-year-old who is unvaccinated arrived in Mumbai on November 24 from Cape Town through Dubai and Delhi. As gene dropout, Madhavi Joshi of the Gujarat Biotechnology Research Center, which tested the 70-year-old genome sample, stated that the Omicron variant was confirmed and it had the S gene dropout. The S gene is a spike protein gene, and the use of a particular RT-PCR test called TUCPAT returns negative. It is useful to quickly screen for a suspected case of Omicron, but only a genome sequencing exercise can actually confirm the variant. The Mumbai person, resident of the Kalyan Dombivli Municipal Corporation, is unvaccinated. On November 24, he had a mild fever. However, no other symptoms were observed, and he is being treated at the COVID-19 care center in Kalyan Dombivli. 35 of his contacts have been traced and all tested negative for COVID-19. Earlier this week, 2 persons in Kerala, one a South African national and the other an Indian doctor with no recent international travel history, have been confirmed with the Omicron variant. The state government is investigating some of their primary and secondary contacts, though some have turned up positive, and it isn't confirmed if they too carry Omicron. India is a part of a list of at least 30 countries where the variant has been detected, though so far the evidence doesn't suggest it to be more lethal than the Delta variant. However, the sharp rise in cases in South Africa, and significant number of mutations it bore that potentially gave it a growth advantage are what have prompted the World Health Organization to label it a variant of concern within days of it being reported by South African medical authorities. 9,000 cases a day. India currently reports around 9,000 coronavirus cases a day, which the bulk of them being reported out of Kerala. NSOCOG, Indian SARS-CoV-2 Genomics Consortium, which is in charge of testing a portion of positive samples to ascertain their genomes, is in an update on Monday underlined that most of the cases being detected in India were of the Delta variant and its associated sublineages. But the emergence of Omicron is unsurprising as global travel to many countries has eased in recent months, including in and out of India. Though, with the advent of Omicron, the country has again imposed restrictions with strict screenings mandated for those traveling from at risk countries. Experts have noted that it was unsurprising that a variant is as infectious as Omicron had been located in India, and there was no reason to believe that it would only be found in those who have recently traveled abroad, as the case may be, as the case of the Indian doctor attests to. Directive to six states, the Union Health Minister on Saturday directed Mizoram, Odisha, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Jammu and Kashmir, and Kerala to heighten surveillance in light of the emergence of Omicron. They have been singled out either for a high case load or some of their districts exhibiting high positivity rate. They have been told to increase surveillance of international travelers, continue monitoring of emerging hotspots, prompt and comprehensive contact tracing of the positive individuals, and follow up for 14 days. And all positive samples for genome sequencing quickly to INSACOG labs, identify early cases through adequate testing, and review health infrastructure preparedness, including in rural areas and for pediatric cases. At a press conference on Thursday, Minister officials said that while more information on Omicron was awaited, Indians should be best advised to complete their vaccination schedule and continue following COVID-19 appropriate behavior. Okay, one more thing, I will go for this, and within 10 minutes I will complete it. Thank you. Okay. Okay, this is our article about in India, the study subversion of equality. This is editorial of October 30, 2021. In India, the steady subversion of equality, the sharp turns away from democracy seen recently in the country must jolt citizens into stopping the descent. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has loudly reiterated India's embrace of democracy internationally, hailed its diversity when abroad, and is seeking India's relevance as an ally of the West on democratic values. Therefore, it is imperative to measure the distance between today's India and democratic values. The central edifice of a democracy, or what makes it a revolutionary idea, is equality, or that it accords an equal status to all its people. But the E word is in a rapid remission. A commitment to all being equal as a desired ideal, even if not fully realized in reality, according to India, its seen and power in the past. India now, from being a truly remarkable case of composite nationalism, appears happy to huddle in that corner of the room which many of its neighbors occupy. For faith is a differentiator. The promise of the foresighted Indian constitution was equal right to all. If any benefit was accorded to smaller groups, religious or linguistic minorities or Dalits, it was in order to achieve substantive equality. This cut across all markers of identity, color, race, language, faith, caste, region, or foot. But faith seems to have increasingly emerged as a visible differentiator between citizens. It must recognize that laws and not just the spirit are in the process of being rewritten in India. First and foremost, the base of citizenship under the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019, allowing for non-Muslims from 3 countries to fast track their citizens, was the most serious push to introduce religion into citizenship. Second, in terms of material choices, laws in the country, in states where the national ruling party holds sway, have drawn harsh attention on interfaith couples. Imaginary fears of a love jihad, the basis for new legislations, have meant that interfaith marriages are seen as crimes unless proven otherwise. The Gujarat law criminalizing interfaith marriages has been called out by Gujarat High Court, but the ordinance introduced in Uttar Pradesh prohibition of unlawful conversion of religion ordinance 2020, which is now a law till July saw 63 FIRs filed against it and 80 people arrested among 162 people who were booked, the majority being Muslim. A similar law in Madhya Pradesh has similar trajectory and differential impact on Muslims, emphasizing the rapid unspooling of the word. In terms of personal law, only Muslim men divorcing their wives through the triple talaq, now outlawed by the Supreme Court, is deemed a criminal act. Not so far men of other faiths. Drastic changes. Third, food has been criminalized. Stringent laws on cattle and end up penalizing those who have a certain diet, namely beef. The mood in the country created and abetted by people close to the powers that be has led to lynchings. India spent as recorded bovine-related hate violence since 2010 and concluded that 98% of these attacks occurred post-May 2014 after the Bharatiya Janata Party assumed office. State governments and the union government have mostly ignored the Supreme Court direction 2018 to set up fast-track courts advised to take steps to stop hate messages on social media or compensation to victims or bringing an anti-mob lynching law. Fourth, consider the Gujarat prohibition of transfer of immobile property and provision for protection of tenants from eviction from premises is in Disturbed Areas Act. Popularly known as Disturbed Areas Act, which circumscribes where one can reside, brought in an atmosphere where there was communal writing and forced displacement to ostensibly protect communities from distress sales. The twist according to it over the years firmly makes the forced separation of communities evident. Vijay Rupani, recently the Chief Minister of Gujarat, said in an interview on July 27, 2019, Hindu selling property to a Muslim is not okay. A Muslim selling property to a Hindu is also not okay. He added, we have set this rule in areas where there have been riots to tell them Muslims that they must buy property in their own areas. Hostile environment, that the environment in even the informal sector where minorities or refuse invocations to battle the prejudice of the formal sector is now curdling is clear from recent studies on the subject. The linkages between those wielding extraordinary power in high offices with those making vicious noise on social media and with the violent mobs on the ground trying to shut down Muslim businesses or attack vegetable sellers or bangle sellers to prevent them to operate or becoming more explicit by the day. It is a old hat to say that several purveyors of hate are proud to be followed by the Prime Minister on social media, but even that is just the tip of the iceberg. Those in power actively support and reward those who had mobs, raise slogans, or demonstrate hate enough to shut down cities and regular life. Ministers garland them, and the anti-minority hate spewed by them is a CV building exercise for better political prospects within the ruling party. The Member of Parliament representing Bhopal, Pragya Thakur, a public defender of the Mahatma's assassin, is only one of the many who exemplify the career path available to those who sharply denounce amity or cause for harmony. Scholars like Thomas Blom, Hansen, and Paul Brass have unhesitatingly pointed to the role of violence. Violence is reported prominently. Dissenters are sought to be marked out by their clothes, as the Prime Minister said famously in December 2019 about those protesting the discriminatory citizenship law. Far from discouraging those indulging in hate speech, they are given a place in the party hierarchy. The line was drawn simply but sharply by no less person than Sardar Patel on September 11, 1948, when the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh RSS was banned after Mahatma's assassin. Patel wrote to the RSS chief MS Golwalkar that he had no problem with the Sangh indulging in activities organizing or benefiting Hindus, but had a problem with actions that were aimed at solely spreading anti-Muslim hate. All their speeches were full of communal poison. It was not necessary to spread poison in order to enthuse the Hindus and organize for their protection. Exclusive entitlement. There was a clear sentiment in Indian society and politics that wanted a country in the mirror image of Pakistan as one for Hindu majority. This view did not want to better the lives of Hindus. This was about claiming that those adhering to one religion have exclusive entitlement to Indianhood. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad, an organization very much of the family of the ruling party, rebuses the idea of the mosaic that India is when it is Secretary General Milinda Parandes said on September 7, 2021 that the very idea of Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb term used to denote the coming together fusion of Hindu and Muslim culture in the country is irrelevant. What exists is one culture and the rest can simply merge into it. The Hindu cause must be prime. Statements like these to denigrate the idea of India as a shared planet are never denounced by those in power. In fact, increasingly there is little to distinguish these from statements of those in power and wielding authority representing the Indian state. The seriousness of what is afoot must be acknowledged. The backbone scholars like Christophe Jafferet have pointed out that there will not be a seamless transition to an ethnic democracy. There is no smooth path towards a category 2 or deemed citizenship status for large numbers of people who deviated from a prescribed cultural path. The Indian notion is one formed on the promise of shared and participatory kinship, which recognized Indian nationalism as being distinct from the faith you practiced at home. Prioritizing any one identity will have disastrous consequences, and history provides enough evidence of this. Rwanda, South Africa, or Germany are reminders that the U word is as much a pragmatic consideration as it is a normative ideal. India was proud of its hollowed constitutional precepts more so as it was in a region which has seen a precipitous slide. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and Myanmar prioritized one ethnicity, religion, and defined belonging and nationhood in the narrowest sense possible. But differences between them and India are fast fading, and not merely due to hotheads or mobs on the street. The formal ruling establishment, with its silences, utterances, and formalizing of new laws and norms, is indistinguishable with the ideas guiding mobs. The mobs read together with actions of the union government and that of state governments mark a sharp turn away from the democracy India claims it is. That must jolt us into recognizing the distance we have already traveled down the wrong path. That may be the first step to try to rest the descent into the darkness of an apartheid state. Okay, now it's time for us to stop and get it done.